All right, everybody. So, on that note, on the note of talking about a service you can offer, I gave a bad example of a blog writing service. I gave an example of someone doing a bad job of offering a blog writing service. Let's give an example of writing let's give an example of a bad job of a Shopify store. We'll stick with Shopify while we're already there. The reason why I would say Shopify is because people talk about it a lot, but they don't really notice all the issues that might be behind it. So, um, I don't know. I don't like to talk crap about Shopify, but in a way I do. I feel like I kind of got burned by them before, so I'm kind of like, a little sour, but I'm not trying to make a whole game and compute blog or a whole game and compute podcast about why I'm mad at Shopify. you know, uh, we've settled our differences. But anyways, all right. So let's talk about a bad example of running a Shopify store selling a product. Because everybody, it's easy to find content that people talk about with, I made $1,500 in 24 hours. I made $3,000 in a week. I made, videos where they say, make $50 an hour with Shopify. You know, okay. So what usually happens is, there's going to be people that show proof of what they've done. A lot of times, excuse me, a lot of times what these people don't mention is how much money they spent on advertising to get that amount. Like if you have, I don't know, $500, $5,000, whatever that you're willing to invest. I'm not saying do it, but if you're willing to take all that money, throw it into, a Shopify store ads, and if you know that you have a winning product, it's not that crazy to think that you might get some sales from it. Now, will you make a return on that investment? If you spent $500 in ad spend, say that's over the course of 2 weeks, they're gonna divvy up $500 each day, and I don't know. I'm trying to say every weekday for 2 weeks. That's 10 days. You're gonna put, you know, 50 bucks towards ads that day. Every day at midnight, you know, that's what you're gonna pay. Or you can just pre-schedule it for 2 weeks on those days. Um, you're probably gonna get a lot of traffic. You might or might not get sales. One way to test, I'm not saying spend all that money, but one way to test if you do have a product that's worth something, or everything's okay as far as like your shipping, your costs, your product, your um the content on your site, if it seems trustworthy, if everything, all your ducks are in a row, you're usually gonna get orders when you spend money on ads. Usually, if you're not getting orders and you're spending money on ads, there's probably something wrong in one of those areas that I've mentioned, if not more. Um, if you're getting traffic but no orders, there's probably something wrong. Um, there's something that somebody saw somewhere that they liked and they clicked. Especially if your store has a kind of obscure name, people aren't just Googling that, you know, they had to see it from somewhere. So remember how last time I said, you want to pay attention to social media presence as well. Because if you need that, depending what you're doing, you might need that. So let's give my bad example here, and then we're going to actually move into talking about better examples too in the next episode. But let's just throw a bad example out there. Shopify store. We're going to call it, let's give it a name that makes no sense whatsoever. Let's say you have a, I'm just looking around in my room. I have a foam roller and it's like sitting on the floor. So it's propped up on the floor. So let's say that you have a store called Foam and Floor, but you're selling t-shirts, right? Shirts that have nothing to do with floors, shirts that have nothing to do with foam rollers, yoga, nothing. It has nothing to do with anything. Say you're selling floral t-shirts, but you name your store Foam and Floor. Has not a thing to do with anything. How likely do you think someone's really going to find you if you don't have a social media presence, if you've never once promoted your store ever? Now, okay. So I'll give the benefit of the doubt. If you're not using Shopify, say if you're using a site like Teespring, right? That would be better. You say if you had a store named Foam and Floor and it was on Teespring where people just design t-shirts and other people can go on there and shop for your t-shirts, that might be fine because everybody knows that there's just t-shirts on there, right? So you might be able to get away with a weird name on a site where it's all t-shirts anyway, so who the heck cares what you name it at a certain point? If people are on there and they like your designs, like people are there for the shirts, so you might have better luck on a site like that. But if you're gonna have a name like Foam and Floor for a t-shirt store that sells floral shirts, maybe you're hand making floral shirts and you're selling them on your Shopify store. Who knows how much it's going to cost you to make these shirts? Um, who knows how much time you're spending making these shirts and supplies you need and time it takes to design and then post your designs and all this stuff. This takes time, this takes equipment of some kind. You're at least going to have some kind of printing ability, or at least the ability to buy plain shirts. Even if you're selling plain shirts with nothing on them, you're going to have a way to like purchase the shirts. But say you have no social media presence, say you don't run ads because you don't know how. I mean, you can hire people to do all this stuff for you. You can hire someone to design your shirts. You can hire someone to ship them to you. You can hire someone to make an ad about certain shirts. You can hire someone to create a social media presence and post your shirts on, on a branded social media platform or multiple platforms, and to run organic traffic and engage with people. You can pay somebody to do all that stuff. But say you want to do it by yourself and you're not savvy and you don't know what to do, your best bet would probably be finding a place that already sells t-shirts and just posting your products up there. But if you want to just go cold with everything, completely cold, a complete cold site, when something's cold, that means there's not a lot behind it. There's nothing backing it. So, for example, if I send, just like how people say cold calling, right? If I'm not scheduled and I don't even do my research and I'm trying to sell these t-shirts off my Shopify store, and I just go down my street and call every business along the left and right side of the road. There's yoga shops, there's yoga studios, there's ice cream like froyo stores, there's like some crystal stores, Subway, Pizza Hut, CVS, I don't know. There's all kinds of stores like that. And I just go to gas stations and I just go down one side of the street and call every place. Hey, I have these floral design t-shirts. Is there any way that I could offer you these shirts? That's cold calling. I mean, usually there's more research that goes into it. if you notice that there's like maybe like uh a Hawaiian a yoga studio that's run by a Hawaiian family, and you have certain types of flowers that you can put on your shirts. Like maybe you're making them to order, and you notice certain types of places around you that could benefit from certain, you know, um, custom floral design T-shirts. That might be a better way to cold call and see if people want your shirts custom made. I mean, emails might be better when you could show pictures of your website, that kind of thing. But if you're just cold calling down the block, like maybe people will feel bad for you and say yes, but it's like that's not really a way that you can predict how much business you're going to get. Those stores aren't really made like that. So you can just be cold calling and getting people to come to your store online and, you know, go to foamandfloor.com and buy their shirts on there. Like, you got to have some kind of plan in place. So I think with all the nonsense I've just been talking about, you guys can kind of tell, if you're selling a service or if you're selling a product, it helps to have some kind of knowledge of what you're doing, so regardless of what you've chosen, we can go from there. We can start talking strategies from there. And we can go from there. So, all right, guys. So, with that, thanks for listening. We're going to go into talking about more detailed strategies next. All right.